I am not the name on the program. I am. I'm going to be introducing Joe. The first thing that I wanted to do. My name is Jason. I'm actually Chief Sales Officer at Center Stage. And the first thing I wanted to do was to thank Seth and Robert and the whole crew at RAND. These are phenomenal folks. If you've never had a chance to work with them, we've been partnering with them over the last year, and they've helped us with marketing. They've delivered an incredible e-commerce solution to a lot of our clients coming from Magento, and our specialty has been the brick and mortar side. We work with NCR CounterPoint, which is a retail management system specializing in customer and item and inventory management, order fulfillment, point of sale. So we built an integration between Magento and it's given us a lot of opportunity to work with RAND, and we really appreciate that. Some of the clients we work with, Spanx, Goodwill Industries, the Guggenheim. Locally, we work with Miami Children's Museum. We work with about 250 organizations in 42 states and 5 countries. So we have a lot of experience on that side of things. And so when we came here today, we were kind of trying to determine what we were going to talk about. Will we talk about how big box retail is going the direction of e-commerce, or how companies like Amazon are moving to the direction of brick and mortar retail to cut down on costs on shipping, but more than that, to offer an in-store pickup option where they have opportunity for more sales and really offer a better customer experience. But or we could just talk about store retail experience and processes until you've all fallen asleep on us. But Joe, our CEO, wanted to actually talk about something bigger rather than just talking about what we do, why we do it. I've been friends with Joe now for about 12 years, and about 6 years ago, I came to work with Center Stage and left. I had worked for a couple of billion-dollar companies, and I decided to join a team of 5. And I traded in my one hat for 10. And you learn a lot when you make a decision like that. But more than just learning about business or learning about retail, Joe taught me about how important culture is to working with clients and employees and partners, and especially to why I got out of bed every day. It's really easy to sleepwalk through the day-to-day, sort of just executing on a lot of what's without ever asking why. But I'd never really experienced culture anywhere except for just a sort of wrapper thrown around infrastructure, given some lip service, and then left to collect dust. And the reason for that is because really the culture was just, let's make a whole bunch more money. But Joe's really and truly built Center Stage on culture first, and it informs every decision that we make and everything that we do. And when it's truly a pleasure to come to work when you have that, when you really know what the why is and you believe in it. So sit back and relax, put down your pens. Joe has a lot to go through, probably about an hour's worth of material in 25 minutes. So I'll turn it over to Joe.
Okay, I'm going to divide you all into 2 groups. I'm going to read about those groups, and I'd like you to choose the one that's best suited for you. So to the first group, congratulations. You've reached financial success. You have more money than you know what to do with. My challenge to you is, what are you going to do with all that money now that you have it? And to group number 2, congratulations. You're going to change the world. You've been longing to use your talents, and you're ready to go to work. My challenge to you is, what personal responsibility are you going to take in order to create that change? What's next? I'm serious. I want to see hands. Who picked being financially responsible as challenge? Financially successful. Okay. Don't worry, I'm not going to call anybody up to tell their story. Just want to see some hands. Who picked world changers? Lots of world changers. All right, good. All right, well, I saw some of you had picked both sides, and so either you're a little bit confused or maybe you're onto something. See, Center Stage, it's not a company. It's a pursuit of an ideal. It's where people can come together to tap into their genius. To say its creation defies convention, it's an understatement. And I'm hoping that through this talk, that you'll come to see the joy in just a little bit of crazy. I love my job. I love the people I work with. I love the challenges I'm faced with, and I love my life. but it wasn't always this way. I started Center Stage 14 years ago. Before that, I worked for Hewlett-Packard and a startup company that invented the precursor to wireless technology. I knew pretty quickly I wasn't cut out for a job, and I had already started a couple companies of my own. I sold one, made some money, started another, and I blew it all. Typical young CEO story. I learned lots of lessons, but I had one big lesson to come. So it all started when I was 5. Oh, so cute. My mother was a programmer, and she brought home a Tandy Radio Shack computer. It was the first color model of its kind. Do you remember those old-style computers you plug into your TV and has a cartridge on the side, play Pong? So at 5, I started programming QBasic, and I was mostly copying it from manuals, but this is how my mom taught me. And this was my gateway to a world of daydreaming. So for most, that kind of wonder comes out in story and through books, but for me, wonder came out in logic structures, and I just kept asking this very basic question: what's next? What's next? What's next? And so one morning, as I was sitting in my living room TV with my computer connected, I was staring at the screen, and as I programmed the background colors to change, I suddenly started to daydream about flying into space, and the question, what's next, entered my mind. I don't know, I pondered. What is next? I remember feeling the weight of that question for my little mind, and I had to reconcile the confusion, so I guessed, well, maybe some outer shell, or maybe something else that constrains space. But as soon as I took a moment to rest in that, I asked, well then, what's next? Which of course killed my idea of this shell, and it sent me back into the same exercise. I tried imagining myself flying into it in a spaceship, just approaching that last piece of space. I just wanted to see if I could trick my mind into maybe seeing it. That didn't work. And so that went on for what seemed like hours, and believe it or not, until this very day, I do not know what is beyond space. As I grew, I found many of these same dilemmas. In numbers, what's the biggest number you can imagine? Now add one. What's next? What's the right religion? How do you know? What's next? Nothing new here, but what is important to know is that I was never satisfied with simple answers. I was the kid that was separated from the class and sent to the corner in 5th grade for asking too many questions. I was the challenging one. It didn't stop there. So when I started Center Stage, I was just looking to make a buck. I peddled whatever services I could provide at the time, and iterations of growth occurred: hiring, training, usual challenges. Eventually, I found myself measuring short-term gains, pressuring for more without proper tools, and everyone was losing interest. But I got that buck. It took me about 8 years to learn that I was an obstacle that could not get out of his own way. I wanted more. My challenges had become boring. Things were moving slowly. Low energy led to negativity, and the team had endured, and for consolation, we celebrated our endurance. I finally broke. So leading up to this, I tried very hard to study leaders in all forms, great leaders from books and blogs. I tried to learn from executives of my clients. I even attended galas and networking events to see if there was something I was missing. Well, ultimately, I learned that what I was looking for isn't out there. It was in here. And the trigger happened when I was coming back on a flight one Friday, and anybody who travels knows that the Atlanta airport is packed on Friday evenings. The shuttle bus I rode on was packed too, with older men in suits, you know, the ones I'd been studying. And in the parking lot, all of a sudden, the driver had a diabetic stroke and started smashing into vehicle after vehicle. Thum, 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 and time stopped. As a younger man, I should have waited to take the reins. But in that moment where the world had stopped, I saw the faces of fear on those men, and I knew I had to act. So I pushed through the crowd to the driver's seat. I brought the bus to a stop. I used the radio to advise of the accident and then requested help. I turned to see if everyone was okay. It was horrifying. Nobody was hurt. I saw people unhappy, taking notes and chatting about lawsuits. And like that, the world changed. I realized I was living in a world that was defiant to my dreams, of what I had realized and idealized growing up to be. And those men on that bus were the men I was looking for leadership training from. No thank you, no sir, no more. Enough was enough. Another buck wasn't going to cut it for me anymore. So I asked, what's next? Now I knew I wasn't going to find it. It was up to me to create that world I wanted to live in. And so for the next year, I journaled everything. My darkest thoughts, my favorite thoughts, nothing was off limits. I called a company-wide meeting, which at that time was about 7 of us, and I said, I'm done working for a company that is so miserable. I apologize for not being responsible enough to look out for your interests. And I was sorry that I'd lost sight of mine. So these were my friends, and I had hoped that I could recreate that with them. But I knew my challenge was steep, and only they knew whether they could make the journey with me. So I asked them to join me in creating a better world, to build something that is worth living for, to figure out how to reinvent business in a way that does not conflict with our personal desires in life. I asked that if this wasn't for them, please leave, and I will do everything I can to help you on your way towards what you really want. Everybody stayed. Everybody committed. It became a mission, our mission, and our business became the way we would fund it. So we would do this by searching deeply inside ourselves for our core values and then protecting those at all costs. I shared how I missed their excitement when we learned something new. I missed the high fives when we had solved a problem. In that room, we prepared ourselves to hear the hard truth that everyone had expressed how they had been sad over those depressing last years. The values we all shared, we took as principle, and we found that we all value freedom of expression without negative judgment. We are the children who lived on the fringe, some geeks, some artists, some nerds, some not ready to admit it. But we all love learning and creating new things. We found that we enjoyed being helpful to each other and seeing each other happy. We valued leveling. So, who's played World of Warcraft? Come on, admit it. Nice. All right. Well, for those who haven't, who's played Mario Brothers? A lot more hands. Okay. All right. Well, was level 4 harder to level than finish than level 1? Of course it was. When Laquito throws those spinies down from the cloud, it takes an entirely different skill set than those that you use to beat level 1, to dodge those little guys. So, but the skills that you learn and you need to pass level 4 are those that are built on levels 1, 2, and 3. Leveling is that point for us after much trial and failure when the skills you need to overcome any current challenges that are beyond your understanding are suddenly intuitive. You understand what you couldn't see before, and your practice allows you to achieve it. And if any of you have ever experienced some understanding which you couldn't unlearn, even if you wanted to, it's because you had leveled. Well, as kids, we're all pushed by our parents, our teachers, our PE coaches, our religious leaders, and even our video game consoles to overcome challenge, to develop new skills. In this country, it's easy to find our basic needs met. We're very fortunate, and that gives room for many of us to find rest in doing almost nothing once we're old enough to do so. As kids, my friends somehow figured out that doing almost nothing was just no fun at all. And we found adventure in self-subscribing to new challenges and then developing new skills, repeating the cycle faster and faster. This was one reason we got along. We love a challenge. We love a challenge so much, we kept creating them in order to level. These values are in our blood, but that old business protocol had caused us to perform in trenches, and it restricted us from the things that we enjoyed so much. And all along, I had been telling myself that money was the path to the things I really wanted. That's when I found my next dilemma, and this disconnect held the clues to what's next. So, what do you do with a bunch of highly self-motivated, cause-motivated, loves a challenge, highly helpful, fringe-thinking innovators? You empower the hell out of them, that's what. You turn it all upside down. It became my personal mission to serve them, to do everything I could to give them the tools they asked for, to give them the space they needed to think and solve problems. I get my hands dirty beside them because I love it. I love our work. I love what we do. And we are a team. We all have our own role. We're doers who manage themselves into doing better because we want to. It's in our blood. So coming down to speak to you was a new challenge for me. I'm not a professional speaker, obviously. I haven't done this before, and I'm nervous in front of crowds. But I thought I might talk about the products we build, as Jason said. But I know deep down the real product of Center Stage is our culture, and the things we sell are the byproducts of our team's passion to continually develop the absolute best at what we set out to do. Our culture is my passion. And it's been posed to me many times that culture cannot scale. Well, I'm a gamer, and I approach that challenge by creating a new scoreboard rather than judging on the one that traditionally is set for this debate. When business is done right, the team enjoys their work. Failures are seen as opportunities. Collaboration is unilaterally desired. Resources are shared, clients are fans. Continual innovation is on fire. The focus is on genuine creation. And best of all, the reciprocal effect is that you attract the team members and clients who align with your core principles, and they bring their own unique value to the total experience. And this is why I believe this is scalable. So for the time being, we're a small company. By the way, we did this room escape thing, and I found there's one in Miami, in Pompano Beach. You guys should check it out. Really good. It was awesome. In the last few years, we've grown to 21. We are recruiting with plans to double size by the end of 2016, and we'll be challenged to learn new tactics in keeping our culture pure. We have already taken many measures. We knew early on that the key to maintaining an unwavering integrity to our core mission would be challenged by the need to pay bills. We spent the first few years building a new financial model that would empower our team to say no to money simply because it wants to come to us. Because money isn't our end, we have to ask questions of our clients to discover whether opportunity is being wasted. When we were invited to compete for a Spanx business, we never tried to sell them anything. We asked to interview their executive team to discover whether they understood the challenges that surrounded our responsibilities. Because if they hadn't, we would never have succeeded in our goals. We have to ask bigger questions like, what are you going to do with all that money once we help you create it? These things are important to our culture because we celebrate our customers. The same way we are enriched helping each other, we're enriched helping our customers on their journey. And it's that kind of question that must be earned. Otherwise, what right do we have to ask it? A core tenet in our culture is to always put more in than you take out. This is the fundamental commitment that entitles us to play by our own rules. We pre-commit to going first in a win-win value exchange. The power of creating truly valuable products means that we know we are going to contribute to increased profits for our clients, and we want to know what drives them. That is our right. It's not arrogant, it's responsible. If your first inclination is to challenge this, I want to ask you, why shouldn't we raise the bar on looking past the money? And this tenet is raise the bar, rise together. It means that those who are looking for more than a few more bucks understands that the power of creation cannot be measured in dollars and cents. It's measured in shared desired outcomes. So, aiming at more dollars for dollars' sake is bad money, plain and simple. We don't want it. Then we replaced, after that, bad fit business that worked against our new model. We walked away from 2 large retail chains because they had bullied their own teams into quitting. There was no way to be successful in our mission, even if we were to continue getting paid. Our culture is safe now because we have enough money to afford protecting it. It took us a little longer to build that foundation, but we're stronger and happier for it. Finally, trust is everything. As a child, I learned that when one person cheats any game, cheating becomes the only way anyone can win. You remember Monopoly? You ever played against a cheating banker? The only way to have a chance at winning the next time is to be the banker yourself. And that cycle was predictably distasteful. It ended with the cheater ousted and universally delivered a rotten experience. The best games were those which I laughed with my peers and was inspired to play again. We recognized the shared challenge of doing better than we had before, and we competed for the prize, but we never claimed the win at the cost of truly earning it. We celebrated in our mutual growth and the trust we had earned with one another made it so worthwhile. And these tenets that I'm sharing have been put in place to help us protect and eliminate relationships that are not built upon growing trust. So this all seems pretty regimented for a bunch of nonconformist gamers to find the status quo, I'll admit. And it is. But here's why it's acceptable. It's voluntary. We don't have to do it, and neither do you. We choose to, and we are taking the risk because we believe it offers genuine good people a more effective platform to achieve mutual win-wins. And we believe many of you will want to join us in our calls. We make sure we have lots of fun too, but we expect a lot of ourselves. We self-subscribe to structure and measurement because it helps us score ourselves and our successes towards what's next. We operate on a model we called mental capacity first. There are many ways to create capacity in a business. You can create sales capacity, in which you're always trying to catch up. You can build capacity by investing in excess inventory so you can quick turn orders. At Center Stage, we maintain excess mental capacity. So break down your day. How many hours do you spend checking emails, walking from office to office, and other legitimate mental sinks? Things that aren't really measured. The reality is that there are only so many things you can get done in a day. Only some portion of that is measurable. Most businesses plan with an expectation of an impossible burden rate that limits creative problem solving and rationalizes that it's not your job to think. The value of your minds, the minds in this room, are so much more powerful than a thing sitting on a shelf. So it comes first, naturally. Of course, it's only valuable if you use it, and we expect that. Our mental capacity model means that we begin recruitment as soon as any measurable demand on a team member exceeds 64%, with all excess time aimed at creative outlets. Like our Lunch and Learns, where each week, one Center Stage team member offers a 1-hour lunch presentation on something they have learned. Or our main event, 3 team members compete monthly in a battle royale by presenting an idea or a prototype to the entire team that will bring an improvement to one of our processes or offerings. We have an annual Leap Forward event where we host a 24-hour invent-a-thon to develop something that each person is personally inspired by. Instead of measuring key performance indicators like revenue and profit alone, we also measure personal growth in mind, body, spirit, finance, and fun. And just this past year, we launched a private foundation to support our team in furthering their personal passions and developing programs that raise the bar in our community and create value there. We believe that the ability of our team to solve future problems with excess time and tools is more valuable than the short-term gain from a few more billable hours. The camaraderie formed by being part of each other's personal journey invites a push from our peers so we can experience more. And unsolicited encouragement keeps everyone excited. Just the other day, Jeff received an email from a partner expressing how great Chris was doing on a project with them. And here's what happened. Up top is the letter, and below, this is everybody just sharing, +1, +1, you're a hero. It happens all the time, almost every day. We interview and test for cultural compatibility over skill. We can teach skills faster than we can unravel a lifetime's worth of cultural incompatibility. The measures we use to test cultural compatibility are top secret, so if I shared them, I'd have to, you know the story. But they do help us identify whether individuals have created structure in their personal lives that match our own. Now, here's an example. When we interview, we will present a challenge which was purposely structured to output failure after a great investment of time while under pressure. Our team is looking to see how the failure was handled. Anybody watch Star Trek? Kobayashi Maru? You guys would notice that. Why do we test failure? Because failure is a cultural key to breaking through problems as a team. When we have breakdowns in our system, and we do, we all agree it is important that we repair whatever problem we caused, and we must also discover the root of how it happened and improve our procedures to prevent it from occurring again. It can be a trial to do this when you are blamed, reprimanded as if your intent was to create the harm, and aren't given the tools to fix the problem on your own when you find it. I found that if I have the opportunity and tools to improve things, and those around me will celebrate the victory of breaking through, I am intrinsically motivated to do that more often. And those who are eager to collaborate over their contribution to the failures around them help everyone break through faster. At Center Stage, we celebrate failures. Like Captain Kirk, we want our team to desire to change the conditions of a system that leads to a no-win scenario. We want them to ask, what's next? Fundamentally, everyone is empowered to obtain more freedom through voluntary excellence and responsibility to the culture's shared and stated outcomes. Sometimes we have necessary meetings inside an open-world video game like Rift or after hours over board games. The forum doesn't matter. The outcomes do. The byproduct of all this are the tools we build to help you create more capacity in overcoming your challenges and supporting your growth so you can do more of what you really want to do for the world. My goal as we grow is to prove that this model can scale and that new generations of leaders will see that business can be done in a more enriching way, where people are empowered to voluntarily rise to their best and universally align their personal interests and talents, using the capital earned from their business to bring a continual, ever-growing cycle of innovation and fun. And I can testify that business and life is more successful when you score yourself on the things money cannot buy, rather what you create using it. If you honestly evaluate yourself on genuine win-win creations and put more in than you take out, the money will follow. And it's then that you have earned it. So at the beginning of this talk, I ask you to pick a challenge. Let me see again. Who chose the challenge of the financially successful? And who picked the challenge of the world changers? Well, you are no different. We all share the what's next challenge. So owners and employees, people, I challenge you to raise the bar on what doing business is all about, becoming financially successful world changers. So what's next? Will you go back to your workplace to create a corporate culture with your own shared values, aligning your peers and standing for something bigger than just another buck?
Yeah.
Thank you.